Before we get in the video, please like, make sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications, go ahead and leave a comment below, and click on the How You Can Help, which brings up the Family Friendly Game website and gives you lots of ideas how you can help us. Thank you. Hey everybody, Paul Berry, Family Friendly Gaming, doing FFG politics on Impeach President Biden. Court is in session. I've said it before, I really don't like when the political left is constantly always having to add new things, constantly having to redefine things, constantly having to introduce new concepts to our country that wind up biting them later. And what I mean by that is, you sit there and see impeachment went from what it was supposed to be, which is high crimes and misdemeanors, and it's gone into it's become a political weapon to use against someone of the opposite party. And I know that already there are articles of impeachment against President Biden already for things he's done that are unconstitutional. And in a lot of ways I find this sad. I really do. I do think President Biden is a disaster. I think he is bad for the country. I think he's trying to make America a third world country. At the same time, there were things that President Obama did that he should have been impeached for, in my opinion. And they're like, well, we're not going to do it because of the color of his skin, and he was the first African-American president, so we don't want to impeach him based on that only. Like we're going to give him preferential treatment based on the color of his skin. If he was anyone else, we would have impeached him. And I'm like, what? I'm baffled here. If the Constitution says this is where you impeach, then they should have impeached. Unfortunately, and this is what I told a lot of people, it's like, well, when you voted for the Democrats, what did you think they were going to do? I mean, they told you they were going to impeach President Trump, and they did it one time constitutionally, even though it was kind of I mean, like the reasons and the evidence was like, I'm not really sure about that. That doesn't really seem like, it doesn't seem like a legitimate reason, especially when Vice President Joe Biden did the exact same thing actually, he did worse than President Trump when he went over to Ukraine and told them they weren't going to get the aid that he had been sent over there to give them unless they fired the prosecutor who was investigating the company his son was on the board. That looks really, really fishy, and that was a definite quid pro quo. Whereas President Trump congratulated the guy and then said, hey, if you got a chance, can you look at this? He wasn't pressuring, or there was no quid pro quo. There was no, I'm going to take this from you or anything. So that is like really nasty double standard, right? And so I see the double standard. I mean, and the thing is, if I guess you could say, well, if President Trump was impeached for that whole Ukraine thing, then they should go after President Biden for what he did in Ukraine when he was vice president. I don't know if there's a statute of limitation on impeachment. I suppose they could sit there and say, yeah, he did that. He did the same thing as Trump. So now, again, this is where the political left opens a door, and then now the political right is going to walk right on through the door they opened. And the left is going to be shouting and screaming about it, but they're the ones who opened the door, and they should have never opened the door in the first place. That's my big issue. Don't open those kinds of doors in the first place, right? And the second impeachment was, I mean, it wasn't even technically constitutionally an impeachment. They called it that. I mean, but they call all kinds of things wrong, incorrectly, and they try to redefine things whenever they want. But it wasn't technically impeachment because the Justice of the Supreme Court wasn't presiding. So the Constitution says that has to happen. So since that didn't happen, that alone didn't happen, it's not really constitutionally an impeachment. And the other thing was, if you went back and watched the speech, there's a variety of facts there. If you go back and watch the speech, he told people to peacefully make their voices heard. So he didn't ask for it. Then there's also the fact that they found stuff on social media where the people have been planning this for a long time, so then it had nothing to do with the president's speech, right? Like that alone proves, like, Parler getting shut down by Amazon is evidence that this had nothing to do with President Trump's speech. The other facet of it was when President Trump's speech ended, you would not be able to make it from that location to the Capitol location quick enough, right? You would beat the world record for running a mile. So we know they couldn't have actually got there. So the people were already there. They were already planning this. It had absolutely nothing to do with President Trump's speech at all. Just like under President Obama, when I think it was Benghazi was attacked, and they blamed some YouTube video, some YouTuber over why it happened, and it was beyond laughable. It was like they just used it to try to get rid of someone they didn't like, and it wasn't legit. And so there's just your eyes roll back in your head. You're like, I can't believe this. So I just shake my head at the President Trump impeachments, because they weren't, very good. They weren't very, they were very, very, very flimsy. And it was obviously very partisan by the Democrats doing that. And now I'm like, I hate the fact that since the political left did this, and this political right's going to do the same thing right back. I mean, it's like, this is a never-ending cycle. And personally, like I said, I don't really think President Biden has done stuff that he should be impeached for. I think he has abused his position. I think he has abused his power. I don't think he should have the power to do things he's been doing. It's the legislature who should be doing these things, not him. By the same token, I'm so sick and tired of constant impeachments. And this is what we're going to have about the rest of our lives, is that once there's an opposition party in power of the House and or Senate, they're going to be pushing for impeachment of the president if they're different parties. I mean, come on, really? This is where we've gotten to? And I have no trust in the Democrats not doing this again. And, the next time there's a Republican president, they'll probably do the exact same thing. They'll probably come up with any little thing. I mean, I remember with President Reagan, the media calling him all kinds of hateful things. President George W. Bush always calling him hateful things and falsely accusing him of stuff. And it's like ridiculous. And it will never end until some people get in office who have morals and ethics and say, you know what? Just because I disagree with them doesn't mean I need to go through this entire political process. And it shouldn't be a repeat political process all the time. But I mean, at this point, I have a feeling that Biden will probably get impeached. Maybe multiple times. I mean, and I find that sad for America personally. That's my thoughts on impeach President Biden. I thank everyone for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.